streaming. Alright.
Alright. I just got the Kevin Griffin notification here.
Oh, yeah? Let's see. I get notifications of myself streaming. It's awesome. It's like, you're streaming. Guess what? Alright, we're live.
Cool. I'm just going to check the feed real quick.
Right.
We'll make sure all the audio is coming through. Let's see here. And we can have the feed up on our machines and just pause the video so we can monitor the live chat. I hear us.
Okay. So there's like a 5 or 10 second delay.
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
They've improved it a lot. Actually, it used to be really bad, and now it's not too bad at all. All right.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think I hear everybody, so that's good.
I'll close mine so I can focus on actually speaking to you instead of watching the 10-second delay like I'm watching a sports event where they've got like a button there where they can pause it. So.
Right. Cool.
Right.
That'll work. And all right, cool. There's a live chat. Awesome. So we'll see if any kind of questions come in. We had some come in through Twitter. We kind of integrated some of those into the questions. We had some similar ones, and then we had another funny question as well at the end from early retirement dude.
Oh no.
So, all right. So.
Oh yeah, I remember that now. Yep.
So Kevin, you ready to roll?
Yeah, I've checked everything twice, and we seem to be going good.
Awesome.
All right, let's do this.
All right.
Let me bring up my script here.
1 second here. I'm just gonna double check Audacity. Microphone, speaker. All right, and it looks like that's working. All right, Justin, go ahead and just say something real quick.
Say something real quick.
And Kevin.
Hi.
All right, well, I'm just gonna play that back.
All right.
Perfect. All righty, we are ready to rock and roll.
All right.
Awesome.
Welcome to Two Frugal Dudes, episode 28 on having early retirement conversations with Justin from rootofgood.com. My name is Sean Marin, and I work as a 9-to-5 full-time employee for a large corporation. Join me on my mission to help more people achieve financial freedom faster through my work at earlyretirementroadmap.com.
And my name is Kevin Griffin, and I own my own software consulting business. If you're looking to give your development team or project a swift kick in the pants, let me know how I can help at swiftkick.in. We are not financial experts. We are just two middle-class guys that want to make money, keep money, and live fruitful lives. Please don't take any of our advice without first doing your own research or consulting with a fiduciary advisor. Now, let's get our money working. Well, we are live on the YouTube streaming the raw footage of tonight's recording. If you want to, come hang out with us in the future at live.twofrugaldudes.com, or you could always check out the previous recordings at raw.twofrugaldudes.com. And if you're paying attention to Twitter, we usually post when we're about to go live as soon as that's going to happen. And most nights it's Wednesday at 9:30 Eastern time. But tonight's recording is actually on a Friday at 8 o'clock Eastern time, so just a little bit different.
Yeah, because like Justin, I heard you say earlier, what else you got to do on a Friday night, right?
There you go.
I was cleaning my grill, and my wife, we're having a birthday party tomorrow for my oldest son, and my wife poked her head out the door. She said, "Aren't you recording at 8?" I'm like, "Yeah, what time is it?" 7:30. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Finish up what I'm doing. Go inside.
I totally forgot about the 8 o'clock time, and I was sitting there, and then I got the email from you, Sean. I was like, Oh yeah, I know what I'm doing tonight on Friday night. I just there we go. Okay, so my evening has something to do, has some purpose to it.
Well, that's good. Well, I'm glad we have you. Yeah. So as everybody could probably tell now, we have a very special guest with us tonight, Justin. As you've heard from Root of Good blog. It's at rootofgood.com, and I remember finding you, Justin, when I chose to question, retiring in my 60s, and I was thinking about my long-term retirement accounts, like my 401ks and IRAs, and I just was like, man, I can't access these until I'm, in my 60s, until without a penalty. And then I found the Roth IRA conversion ladder through your blog, that awesome article you put on it. And now when I Google that, like, yours comes up first, because it was just such a great, it was such a great breakdown. And then it immediately turned a light bulb in my head, like, wow, this is possible. Those still are the best accounts. That is a route I can definitely take based on the way my life is kind of handled right now. But so first off, thank you for sharing that. And it definitely changed my life. And we're so glad we could have you on the show today. So welcome to the show.
Thanks. Glad to be here. Yeah, that article is pretty awesome. It's one of the seminal pieces on my blog. That, like you're saying, it's #1 search result in Google, which is makes me pretty proud as the proud daddy of my blog. So yeah, I'm glad to be here. Glad to chat up whatever you guys want to talk about, and let's get to it.
Awesome. Cool. So before we get started, we have a few quick fire questions just to break the ice if you're up for it.
I take no responsibility for these, Justin. This is Sean's evil plan. Sorry.
So pizza or tacos?
Is there a C all of the above? No, tacos, no question.
Nice. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Ooh, I grew up on Star Trek.
Nice. Do you prefer the snow or the beach?
Probably the beach.
Cool. And when would you go to if you had a time machine?
When? Wow. That one has me stumped. I don't know. Maybe the future sometime, 10, 20, 30 years out. That'd be pretty cool.
Hopefully we're still here, right?
I hope so, yeah.
He's going to go back to when he agreed to be on this podcast.
Yeah, about 2.5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So those awesome. Are softballs. Those are easy. Give me some hard ones.
Well, let's start with the easy thing. Tell our listeners about yourself and how you got to where you are now.
Sure. Okay. That's pretty easy for me, too. So I'm me. I'm Justin. I blog at rootofgood.com. I've been blogging for close to 4 years now, which lines up with exactly when I retired early at 33. I quit working and started the blog within a few weeks after that. I've kind of always wanted to do something internet-y, something tech-related, and just got busy with work and kids and family and having fun and stuff, and just never did anything until I had no more 9 to 5 to worry about. So 2013, I was 33. We had a little over $1 million saved up. My job came to an end very suddenly, and I said, let me run the numbers. And within, that same day, I figured out, okay, we have enough. I'm good to go. No more working for me. I live in Raleigh. The youngest is 5. The oldest is 12. And we sort of have a sort of a split personality. During the year, 9 months of the year, the kids are in school, and so it's pretty ordinary living in Raleigh. And then 3 months per year, or maybe 2 months per year, we end up traveling somewhere crazy during the summer. So that's kind of my life in a nutshell.
Well, awesome. A quick shout out to our live listeners as they're coming in. Every month we do a book giveaway. And all folks have to do is ask us a question on Twitter or email if it wasn't live. But if you're on the live stream, you can ask a question there as well. And Justin, this month we're giving away Unshakable by Tony Robbins. Have you read any of Tony's books?
I read a little bit of one of them. I kind of skimmed through. I can't remember which one it was, but it had a lot to do with money. And I think he talked about some of the index funds, that sort of thing. Was that
it
Unshakable?
Money Master of the Game?
Yes, I think that was it.
That was a long book, so I don't blame you for just skimming it.
Yeah, I think it was online somewhere. I saw it was an excerpt of it, and I skimmed through it, and that was pretty much the end of it. Yeah.
Well, imagine he taking all the good parts out of Money and Master the Game and doing a cliff notes of it. That's what Unshakable is.
Well, there you go. Then I would recommend that one over the other one. Yeah,
much shorter read. So anyone who asks us a question can enter to win a free copy of Unshakable.
Cool.
And we had some great questions come in for you for tonight, and we'll get right into them right now. So kind of first off, so just looking back, we go back before early retirement when you were still in the workforce. What made you realize early retirement was a possibility? Earlier you mentioned things kind of came to an end and then you ran numbers, or did you already think of it before that, and did you have any kind of like sense of imposter syndrome, kind of waiting until that day came?
Yeah, so pretty much a year or so after I started working, we were kind of naturally frugal, and we just had extra money left over at the end of each month. And so I was saving it and investing it, but not really doing it that wisely, kind of putting it in some loaded mutual funds that were expensive and not really the best ones. And so I started Googling around, and then I learned about this whole early retirement thing online and how to invest a lot smarter with low-cost index funds. And, I'm an engineer by training, so a lot of that, the financial knowledge, the spreadsheets, number crunching, that kind of thing comes naturally to me. So, I put together a spreadsheet and I said, okay, I can do this in 20 years. I can retire at age 45, no problem. I just need $2.5 million. That's what I need. So, it was simple at that point. And I said, okay, well, 20 years, I'll just keep saving and investing, and, it'll happen eventually, and I'll be 45 and very young. So that's a good plan. Let's go with that. And then over the years, I refined that plan. When you're bored at work, you pull up the spreadsheet and you tweak some numbers and you change some things, and you track your spending, and you realize that it's more in reach than you think it is, a little bit closer, and you get good investment returns eventually, and there you are. You have enough, and so the comment about the job ended and then I ran some numbers, that was more of a sanity check, a double check to make sure. Yes, we really are good, and no, I do not need to go back and look for another job.
It must kind of feel like they say there's a stretch of interstate out in the West where after you pass the last gas station, you really have to have the full tank to make it all the way there. It feels like kind of the same scenario of you just passed that gas station with your income, so now you're just kind of running off what you got in the tank, and you need to do a quick sanity check to make sure, all right, I can make it all the way to Arizona or California on what I got, because I have to. If I don't, I'm stranded in the middle of nowhere, and there's nothing I can do.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that was the sort of check is, okay, yeah, there's 300 miles of desert left. Okay, I've got a full tank. I know it can go 400 miles, and let me double check. Yep, it's still in the F. I've got a full tank. I'm good to go. Check the GPS, no traffic, no problems, got tire pressure, everything is good, but yeah, right. You want to stop, you want to pull over, maybe look a car over for a minute, make sure there's oil in there, make sure your tires are inflated, make sure, your cell phone's charged up, have some water in there in case you get stranded. Yeah, you got to do the preparation, you got to make sure, lay the groundwork and think about it, because you can get into big trouble if you're in the middle of the desert and you get stranded, you can, suffer a lot. So, yeah.
Cool.
No. Go ahead, Sean.
No, I'd say cool. Great stuff to know now that I'm out in Texas and I'm going to start, venturing off into like Arizona. No.
Yeah. Have your little survival kit in there just in case.
So when you did have a job, did you ever discuss the topic of early retirement with your fellow coworkers?
Not a whole lot. I kind of kept it under wraps. If somebody I was really close to, I might mention it to them in terms of a very vague, broad notion of, I'm saving money, and there's an end goal in sight, and it's that I will not have to work until I'm 65. I don't know if I ever mentioned, my original plan, working until 45. I don't know if I ever mentioned, hey, it's getting better. It might be 40, 35. And part of that is, you just don't know how life's going to turn out. And I didn't want to say, hey, guess what? I'm going to retire at at 35, and then like a dumbass, all of a sudden I'm 40 or 45 or 50, and like life happened and stuff went wrong, and then they're just laughing at me. I'd much rather be conservative in terms of what I share, and then kind of under promise, over deliver, that sort of thing. So and it's also, you don't want to, where I was at originally at a consulting firm, I think it's could have been career suicide a little bit to talk about, what, I really don't want to work anymore, I'm just going to quit and live off my investments. It could send the wrong message when, in your annual review, you're talking about how you want to do better and how you want to, move up into more advanced projects and more management and take on more responsibility, and by the way, get paid more. I think you can talk about it in an abstract way, but it's hard to really say my goal is to retire by 35 and I'm going to do it and here's how. So
you did really great this year, and we're just going to go ahead and give you all this extra money so we can help you with your early retirement plans, right? That's just what your boss can't wait to tell you.
Yeah. Well, and the attitude of the firm was kind of like that, in the sense that it was a pretty good conservative firm where they had an employee stock ownership plan, they had a 401k, they did matching, and the boss, the president would tell you, I want you all to be millionaires when you're 65. And I just wanted to be a millionaire when I was like 30 or 35.
That's a better number to be a millionaire with.
Yeah, because so I mean, they were down with the whole saving and investing and investing for your future. They just wanted you to work for 30 more years.
True. Well, that's cool. So then at one point you did decide to leave, right? And so talk us through how that went down. I mean, did you kind of talk to your whole team about it, or was it one of those things where you just kind of told your boss and he was like, hey, don't maybe not mention this to the rest of the team?
No, actually it was a pretty horrific situation. I was on vacation for the whole week before my last day of work, and I ended up switching jobs a few years before I quit working. And where I was at, it was very political. It was working for the state government, but it was not in a regular state government job. It was kind of an exempt position, which means they can hire and fire you at will. So my buddy at work, he got fired on a Friday, like lowercase fired, not FIRE, financial independence, retire early. He got fired. Just pack your stuff, leaving, you're fired. And so, he messaged me and let me know, and I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. And there was only 3 or 4 of us in our group at this very, very small government entity. And I was like, okay. And then that's when I started thinking, well, I wonder if my job is safe. So I kind of walked in the door on that Monday morning after being gone for a week, and I kind of said, you know what? I may not have a job here. And sure enough, the boss walks in, 9:30, 10 o'clock after I've done some emails and phone calls. And he hands me a piece of paper and says, this is your notice that you're being terminated. Here's a box, put your stuff in, walk out the door. So there really wasn't that opportunity to talk to anyone at the organization at all. But I had talked to, the 2 or 3 people that I worked with closely. I had mentioned it a little bit in terms of, and I think they kind of noticed too, like, we're living in a less expensive house, we're driving 15-year-old cars, our money's going somewhere. And so I think they already kind of knew that something was in the works, early retirement was in the works. But from what I heard, the whole office just thought it was a joke that I was retired. They just assumed that I was out of work, and it's impossible. How can you retire at 33? That's impossible. So I guess they just joked about it around the office that, Justin's just unemployed and can't find a job. And so.
And he's happy as hell.
Looking back on it, it's kind of a humorous situation. Usually when you get fired all of a sudden, you just, you don't look back on it and laugh at it. But, it was, political house cleaning, and you get caught up in it, and, everything's better now and no hard feelings, and So.
Do you still keep up with those folks from back when you all got laid off?
I keep in touch on Facebook with them, and it's kind of like you make friends at work, but they're not really friends.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so I'm friendly with them. I haven't seen any of them in person in a couple of years. Actually, today I happened to be downtown in Raleigh, right, 200 feet from the office building, and didn't feel compelled to hit any of them up on Facebook or email them or call them or anything. I was just enjoying the day down there. So, yeah, not really. I mean, I think everybody there that used to work there, I think they keep in touch on Facebook, so they probably see what I'm up to. The vacation pictures and the feet propped up at like 2:00 on a Tuesday afternoon in a hammock, and so they probably know what's up. But I mean, I don't really hear from a whole lot of them.
Yeah, I'm sure they have little plans of their own now, right? Or they think you're crazy and then think you're gonna.
I think some of them have kind of come around in terms of realizing that it may be more in reach than they really think, and whether it's early retirement or whether it's regular retirement at 55 or 60. So I mean, it's an example of, hey, here's somebody that did it. Maybe I can adopt some of that in my own life and do the same thing.
True. All right, so kind of switching then. So let's talk about your family members and friends, having those talks with them. Was it since maybe it'd be a little easier? Since maybe it'd be a little easier to open up to them, maybe before you planned on leaving the workforce versus a coworker. Did you have those talks as well, kind of before early retirement, and then maybe after? Have they changed? I know you started your blog, so maybe you've convinced more people just in your close network that maybe before even thought that they didn't want anything to do with it.
I didn't talk a whole lot about it before I quit working, and then after. I mean, I told my parents. I just didn't want them to worry that I was merely unemployed. So I told them pretty soon after I quit working that this is it. I'm retired early. We have a very significant amount of savings, and we're just going to live off the investments. And my wife was still working at the moment, and so she's also planning on quitting working relatively soon. And so I told my side of the family pretty early on, like within a week or two, I think. And I think it was a big shock in terms of. At the time, my mom and dad were both still working at the time. My mom has since retired, but so it was weird for them to have a child, 30, almost 30 years younger than them, that retires before they do. But I think they knew that I have my head screwed on straight. I can do the analysis and number crunching, so it wasn't. I don't think they were worried about me financially. I think there's probably a different story on my wife's side of the family in terms of. I don't know that her mom, my wife's mom, my mother-in-law, I'm still not sure that she really gets it, that, we really don't have to work anymore. And because she still asks my wife if she's going to go back to work, or, when is she going to look for a job, or those kind of things. And so, my wife's, it's still a work in progress there. But so, and part of that is, I think she didn't really discuss it with her mom as much, just because her mom is more of someone who would worry about that her grandkids are going to end up living on the street and not having any food to eat. But so it's kind of for different people, it's the reaction's been different.
When I talk to a lot of random people, and also I am a business owner, so I run with independent business owners, and typically whenever I say I just want to retire early, I don't want to work anymore, I just want to sit back, we hear the phrase, I don't want to retire. I never want to retire. I love what I want to do and what I'm doing. I just want to keep doing it forever. Do you hear this often? Do you have a kind of a response to folks like that who say they want to work forever?
I hear it some. I mean, maybe I'm in the wrong circles, because I hear a surprisingly large amount of people who do not like their jobs, and they do it just because they have to pay the mortgage and they have to eat food. So jobs are convenient for those purposes. But I've heard it from some people that they say, well, I don't think I'll ever want to retire. And I think there's a few different categories of those people. Some love their job. Some people don't want to think about it ever, because it means that you retire and the next step is you die, and no one wants to think of their own mortality. Yeah. And then there's the people that just don't want to think about it because they don't want to have to plan for it, or they don't want to admit that I'm saving 3% in a 401k and that's all I'm doing, and so I can't retire. So it's not really they don't want to, it's just they can't with what they're doing right now. It's kind of like, if I say I never want to run a marathon, it's because right now I can't unless I change what, I have to go train for it and get in shape and do this. It would be the same thing for a lot of people about retirement. It's just, if you're saving 3% or 5%, 5 or 70, probably not going to retire in your 30s or 40s.
Yeah, it's funny because when I get that response sometimes, well, then I just kind of say, well, so are you doing the same thing you were pretty much doing 5-10 years ago? Or are you in the same position? And they're always like, no, I've been doing this for a little over a year now. I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay. Glad you love it. But so now I guess if someone asks what you do, what do you say? Do you say I'm retired, and what's the typical reaction?
It depends on the situation. I've dropped the I'm retired thing a number of times, and usually it's kind of like shock and like, oh really, wow, that's weird, okay. And then a lot of times there's follow-up questions like, how'd you do it? And so I kind of have the stock response of, well, we worked hard, we saved a lot of money, lived relatively frugally, and just had enough money to live off of forever, and so we decided to stop working. And that's that's in a nutshell how you do it, the recipe for it. And usually, unless they're really interested in doing that themselves or getting more details, it's kind of the head nod and oh, okay, so that's sort of the stock response if I mention that I'm early retired. But a lot of times I'll just say, and I've got it easy, I've got kids, so I can say, if they say, oh, you're a stay-at-home dad, like we're at the park and they see me with the kids there, I'll say, yep, I'm a stay-at-home dad, because I just don't want to get into a discussion about my finances with a stranger at the park, or at the grocery store, or the cashier or something. Or if they say, oh man, it's Sunday night, I guess we're going back to work tomorrow, huh? Sometimes I'll just say, yep. Even though Monday mornings for me are like it's like the weekend for me, because the kids are in school and things get relaxed and they slow down a little bit. So I don't go out of my way to always correct people and say, oh no, I'm retired, I don't have to work anymore, or and I don't feel compelled to get into discussing all of my finances and how I operate my finances and where my money and where my revenue comes from. How do I pay the light bill and my credit card bills? Like, people don't always discuss that, so I don't necessarily feel compelled to discuss it as an early retiree any more than someone who works at that.
So I have just kind of a random question. Sean was talking earlier about the Roth IRA conversion ladder, and sure. I have not actually read that blog post. In a gist, could you just explain what that is and how that kind of works? Sure.
So Roth IRA conversion, first of all, this is, if you have a traditional IRA, it means that you've put money in there when you're working. You've received a tax deduction for that money when you put it in, and then if you want to convert it from a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA, it just means that you would basically, since you got a tax deduction when you put it in, you convert it and you pay tax on that income at that point.
Okay.
The benefit is you convert it into a Roth asset, which will grow tax-free, and you can withdraw it. Sort of withdraw it penalty-free, tax-free, after contribution of it. Sorry, the conversion of it you can withdraw within 5 years, penalty-free, tax-free. And then once you're 59.5, you can withdraw any of it, no taxes, no penalty, nothing. So, sort of a tax management strategy to spread your tax liability out over your retirement years,
Gotcha.
Especially if you're retiring at 30, 35, 40. You don't want to sit at zero income for 20 years or 30 years and then start having required minimum distributions. It also gives you the benefit of the ladder. So this is doing those conversions every year for 5+ years. You're setting yourself up to be able to withdraw those converted amounts after 5 years. You can withdraw those amounts without any kind of penalty. So it gives you an easy way to take all the IRA, traditional 401k, traditional IRA contributions, and get to those very easily, unlock the power of those savings without paying a penalty on them. And that's kind of the classic question for early retirees is, how do you get all this money in your retirement accounts? You're not 59 and a half. You can't take this money out. And boom, there's the Roth IRA conversion ladder. It works perfectly.
Yeah, it's interesting because all my money right now is going in a traditional IRA. Because when I left my job, I had a 401k and I did a rollover to a traditional. It was just very long conversations with my accountant, and he assured me that was the best way to go. And so yeah, I'm really interested in this for the next coming years when I decide I want to make the plunge into early retirement.
Yeah, and I remember. Yeah. Oh, no, I was gonna say. I remember when I was in a similar situation and I started thinking about rolling over the money. I had this like enlightenment when I realized, hey, when I retire, I'm not working. I'm in the lowest tax bracket. So it's something I don't know why I didn't think of, but even though I retire early, I'm now in the lowest tax bracket. I have no income coming in, and I can start doing those Roth IRA conversions up to the point where I would jump a tax bracket, right? And also, I would be in the 0% capital gains tax bracket at that point too. So my taxable brokerage account can be used to kind of help leverage those first 5 years before I have to start dipping into those converted Roth contributions. So now, once I realized that, I was like, oh, there's the plan.
It dovetails perfectly with early retirement. Your income is basically nothing. So you can take, if you think about, if you have 30 years of retirement until you start pulling Social Security and you start having to do the required minimum distributions, that's 30 years times, if you're doing $30,000 a year, that's almost $1 million you can convert and pay almost no tax on. So it's just it's incredibly savvy tax planning. It moves it over to the Roth side of the ledger, and it grows tax free. If you don't pull it all out, it just keeps growing tax free. I didn't even plan to use that going into retirement. I found out about it after I quit working. So I was going to do the 72T, the substantially equal periodic payments, which is like you lock yourself into basically a pension payment, a fixed payment until you turn 59 and a half. So that would have been over 25 years for me. So 25 years without being able to change what I'm withdrawing every year. If I make more money, make less money, need more money, need less money. So anyway, I ditched the whole 72T plan idea. And then, I'm such a fan of the Roth IRA conversion ladder now. It's so much more flexible.
It almost sounds like being on Social Security, where you're getting your fixed check every month, although yours would probably be much higher than like my grandmother, who's getting her Social Security check and relies on it every month. Say, all right, that check's got to come so I can eat. And it's I'm a big fan of more money.
Yeah, life's easier when you have more money.
Yep.
That's funny. Well, last week we actually interviewed early retirement dude on the podcast, and I heard he had the pleasure, I think, of staying at your house recently. You guys got together, and he told us over the air, man, we have to ask you, what is the secret to your lasagna recipe?
Oh yeah, so early retirement dude. So he was at the beach for like a couple of weeks, just camping rough, like eating seaweed and whatever he can catch. And he said the last day he was eating like oatmeal and quinoa or something, like just had almost down to zero provisions left. Except he had a lot of beer in the cooler, which was weird. But so he came by here, and I think he was just starving. I don't know if I did a particularly good job or if he was just like starving to death because he hasn't had any real food for a week or two. But so I mean, it's sauce, meat, cheese, noodles, kind of some spices. It's grandma's recipe. I don't know.
Well, excellent. Sure. Well, I'm checking the live stream. There's no questions. We have a record number of people watching the live stream right now.
Yeah, there's 11 people on now. 12. Man, it keeps bumping up.
There's no questions. So I wish the universe would ask some questions. And there's nothing on Twitter. Oh well.
Twitter mentioned something about a video maybe of you chasing geese or them chasing you. You know anything about that?
My wife might have posted something. Is that who posted that?
It was Janet. I'm gonna get the last name wrong. Ask him if he has any videos of himself being chased by geese. Okay.
I have a lot of geese in my yard, so And they have little baby goslings now, and they get really, really defensive when you mess with their babies. So maybe that's, yeah. I think she might have seen a picture on Twitter I shared of our yard with the geese and the goslings. We live on a little lake here, and it's kind of I guess it's baby season, so there's babies everywhere and goose feces everywhere. Unfortunately, the downside of living near the water, but yeah.
But I thought you were going to be that guy that went viral on YouTube when I guess the duckling son half with the parent, and they saw this guy, and then they thought, mommy, so they just followed him everywhere every day. He had to feed him, take him down the river. I thought it was hilarious. I cannot believe it.
Yeah, that sort of similar something happened. We found a baby that had separated from his parents, and so we brought it inside at first, and then someone else spotted more geese in our yard that had babies. So I just took the baby outside and dumped it out, and it actually went to another family and started tagging along behind the other gosling. And so we just forced the adoption on this other family, and I think it ended up finding its parents later on, but yeah, luckily they didn't stick with me because I don't want to keep a pet goose in the house. So
right. We just had one question come in on Twitter. So outside of your blog, do you have any other, I know you're a engineer by trade, and you're kind of an analytics guy, kind of like Kevin and myself. So we also have this entrepreneurial spirit. So is that something you also have, outside of your blog, of course, any projects, or you always kind of come up with new ideas or other passions?
Yeah, I mean, it's more of just small random things that I'm like, hey, I just want to do this. I want to spend an hour or a day or 2 days doing this, whatever project it is. And sometimes it's blog related stuff or technology. People kept bugging me to talk to them about money. So I just put a page up on my blog and said, hey, I do early retirement lifestyle consulting. And so I've done 50 of those sessions now. And just this morning, someone, I had a 2-hour blog consulting session on how to run a blog and how to tweak the WordPress settings, how to configure stuff, the technical side of things. And so I've kind of fallen into this accidental consultant role in early retirement. But it's on stuff that I find cool. It's entertaining. It's enjoyable. It's interesting. It's intellectually stimulating. So I mean, those the blog and related stuff to that are kind of my biggest project. Last night, I almost decided to install a custom ROM on one of my kids' tablets just for fun, and then they reminded me that they don't really want it because they don't know what it is, and it might brick it as well. So I decided not to do that. But sometimes I get pretty deep involved in messing with computers and doing stuff with them, but kind of amateurish stuff.
That's awesome.
And another example, I spent maybe half a day researching how to build my own solar-powered air conditioner. I was just curious if it was if there was an off-the-shelf solution or if there was some easy technological way to do this. And I pretty much determined that no, it would be cheaper just to buy a regular roof-installed solar panel system and then just power your regular air conditioner with it instead of trying to buy some custom solution. So, but reading about all this stuff, I mean, having the time to spend that time devoting to how would I design this project? How have other people done it? Does it look like something I want to do? Is it a financially viable project, or would it just be some novelty that doesn't really save any money and is kind of clunky and my wife hates it? Yeah.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the solar because I think it was last week I saw you send a tweet out about the Tesla solar panels or solar roof, and right when you sent that tweet out. Yeah, right when you sent that tweet out, Kevin actually sent me a picture of the estimate for his. I was like, how ironic. So, yeah, apparently, I guess that was a little bit of a letdown for everybody.
I love Elon Musk so much, but that man does not know how much a traditional roof actually costs.
The numbers in there, I mean, it's disappointing because I think if you're not a numbers person, you can be misled into purchasing something that's very, very expensive, thinking that you're actually saving money. And I think people do that a lot. And I've talked to people that with solar panel systems that they're barely breaking even on it, ignoring opportunity costs of that money. And I just usually just shut up and don't say anything because, you get into, well, yeah, but I'm saving the world. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the footprint is of all these solar panels that you're building. And maybe, but you're also getting these huge tax credits, and it doesn't work unless you get all these tax credits. You're barely making any money on it, and like your house is in the shade half the time. So, you know, but yeah, the Elon Musk, the roof thing, it just did not pencil out at all. But we also have cheap electricity here, so I mean that it makes it hard just for even a traditional solar system. It's profitable, but not widely profitable.
Sean and I were talking about it last week because I think I ran through my calculation and it said after, what was it, 30 years, I would have earned like $4,300. I would have made like $4,300 return on my solar investment. So Sean and I said, well, what would happen if I just stuck $65,000 in a low-cost index fund and let it sit there for 30 years and not add anything to it? And what calculation did we run? It was like $1.5 million. Yeah. It was like, okay, well, and then I went into some of my other communities and I just threw these numbers out there and said, all right, anyone out there who buys a Tesla solar roof honestly can't do math. And I got a lot of flack for it because of the environment thing. And I said, $4,300 versus $1.5 million. It's like, all right.
I think it's $500,000, but still.
You know, million versus 1,000. How about that?
Yes, that's the right order of magnitude. Yeah, and it was. I mean, I just emailed the roofer yesterday to get a new roof put on for I think $5,300, and my quote was 64 or 65,000 from Tesla.
Yeah.
Which, and the warranties are the same, because if you dig into the warranty, they don't warranty the weatherproofing of it beyond 30 years. That's the same thing as what you get with a traditional architectural shingle, a higher end shingle, 30 years.
Yeah.
And so year 31, do you have to tear off your $64,000 roof? I mean, and I know in my neighborhood, I mean, the houses are only, 150 to 200,000. I could never get $64,000 extra value out of having a solar roof. I mean, it may even be a detriment. I've heard a lot of people that will tear the solar systems off of a house because they just don't want to, they don't know how to deal with it, or they don't want the hassle of it, or the money that it saves, the $1,000 a year that it saves or whatever, is just not worth having this thing on your roof. And I know like the solar roof is supposed to look prettier and everything, but I'm just such a numbers guy, such an engineer, that I'd rather have a system that works and produces a good return on investment. And if it's ugly and it ends up the geese go up there and poop on it, I mean, I don't care. It's going to face the back of my house, no big deal. But that was one of those where the $64,000 roof was not going to happen for us.
I do think there might be something with the numbers around the power wall, and having a power wall that can run your house during the day and have it charge up at night where energy is technically cheaper. I think there's a case that can be made there, but I haven't done the math, so I have no idea. We'll see. Future, in 5 years, we'll have this conversation again and go, oh yeah, we all have Tesla power roofs now. They're awesome.
Well, and you look at his other, like the cars. I mean, they come out at first and they're 65 to 80,000. Now there's a $35,000 model. I mean, I'm just waiting until I can buy a used $20,000 model for like $6,000. Yep. That's what I'm that guy. Like, I don't mind waiting 5 or 10 years. So yeah, if my new roof, if it needs to be replaced in 25 or 30 years, my next one may well be solar, and it may only cost an extra $4,000 or $5,000, but it'll save me, if it saves me $1,000 per year and it's only a delta of $4,000 or $5,000 extra dollars, I'll take a 20% return on investment.
Yeah, it's that whole high price early adopter costs, right? Versus now it's a commodity, lower, more competition costs, and wait a little longer and we'll see what happens. But well, cool. Well, hey, Justin, thanks for sticking around with us a little longer today. We really appreciate it. But how can people stay in contact with you and maybe answer questions that we didn't get to tonight? Sure.
Well, I have a blog, so I see the comment here on YouTube now. The roof geese picture. I posted a picture about there were geese on my roof of my house. That's probably what they're referring to about the geese chasing me. But, so getting back to how to contact me, my blog is probably the best way, rootofgood.com. Check it out. Got, almost 200 posts on there now. I've been blogging for about 4 years. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. It's /Root of Good blog or @Root of Good blog on both of those. So check me out there. Get in touch. Subscribe, like, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, definitely. And so I got to ask, Root of Good, is that just like opposite of Root of Evil here, or is there different meaning behind that?
It's kind of the opposite of the saying, money is the root of all evil. I think when people tell you that, they actually just want your money. I've never heard, I've never seen things work well without money. Usually money helps a lot in terms of providing for your family, providing flexibility, providing freedom. You can give money away for charity. You can do good with money. It's usually the lack of money that causes people to do bad things. Is what it seems like to me. That's my take on it, at least. So yeah, that's the name of the blog. Awesome.
Well, we'll let Kevin. Do you want to run the outro tonight, buddy? Oh.
Yes. Well, that's all for this episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter @2FrugalDudes, as well as Sean @SeanMarin and Kevin @OneKevGriff. View show notes and check out previous episodes, and never miss an episode by subscribing to our mailing list at 2FrugalDudes.com. If you like this podcast and want to keep it going, please rate us on iTunes. We love reading the reviews, and I would like to see some more. Cha-ching!
Awesome.
Excellent.
That's a wrap. So I will save that. Now we're still
streaming. So do I want to
kill the stream?
Kill the stream? All right.
Yeah.
Bye, internet.
Bye, internet.
Bye, internet.